Hi everyone, I'm Evelyn Waiwaioli, Director of NYSOD, and welcome to another NYSOD podcast. Today we're going to be joined with Dr. Janet Laughlin from Danville Community College in Virginia. She is the Dean of Student Success and Academic Advancement. Janet, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
We are going to be talking a little bit today about student success. What does that mean through the lens of achievement gap? We're going to be hearing the Danville story, hearing a little bit about the college becoming and achieving the dream college, and what deliberate steps did the college take to begin to close the achievement gap? So first tell us a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, about before the college became an Achieving the Dream school, what did the achievement gap look like at the school? What was the picture? What was the story? Or even was there a conversation about achievement gaps at the college?
Well, I can tell you that we probably had no conversations about the achievement gap, certainly not to the extent that we have because of Achieving the Dream. When we looked at our data and getting ready to put in the proposal for Achieving the Dream, we saw that there was definitely a gap between the achievement of students of color and Caucasian students, lower income students, and students of color and the cohort as a whole. And what we saw was that African American students, which is about a third of our student population, typically rated the lowest in mathematics climb from developmental to college level classes. And there wasn't that much difference between males and females of Caucasian race and African Americans, but nor was there between the male Caucasian and African Americans. But when you looked at the African American achievement, they were lower than low-income students and lower than the cohort as a whole. So we looked at math climb from developmental to college level courses, and then also graduation and persistence rates.
Tell us a little bit about the student population at Danville. You've talked a little bit about African American. What's the diversity ratio at the college?
It is approximately 67% Caucasian, only 1% Hispanic and other, and the rest of that population is African American.
So the college becomes an Achieving the Dream college. Many Achieving the Dream colleges throughout the country. Your college chose to talk about or really focus on achievement gap.
Right.
Why not focus on other things? I mean, obviously you've kind of told us the story, but they could have gone in a different direction. Clearly, there was a conversation about we're going to focus on the achievement gap. Talk to us a little bit about how the college even made that deliberate decision to do that.
Well, that was the expectation of the Lumina Foundation and its partners for Achieving the Dream colleges. You were asked to focus on those achievement gaps, and then it was up to you to determine what areas would you focus on. And for us, it was that developmental math issue.
Okay.
That was the greatest issue.
Great, thank you. Well, we know that, or it's been said, that many community college educators operate from a middle-class perspective. Talk to us a little bit about that. What does that mean? What does it look like? How does it feel on a college campus?
When you look at the research on under-resourced students, you learn that there are hidden rules of the middle class, and all educational systems, including higher education, are based on the values and those hidden rules. And for instance, you have the middle class really values achievement and a work ethic. And what students out of poverty typically value relationships, entertainment. They will want to build relationships with their friends, and if that means skipping class to be with a friend in need, entertaining that friend, taking that friend to the movies rather than buying a textbook, that's probably what is going to happen. And so a lot of students out of poverty have not had the role models that would acquaint them with middle class rules. And so what we have seen exhibited in the classroom, when I hear what faculty complain about, work ethic, completing homework assignments, is the student lazy in putting out the effort? Do they have goals? Not showing up for class, so attendance is an issue. Students out of poverty do not follow the same modes of conversation that you and I would in terms of modulating how loud we are, that tone of voice, And so we hear the faculty say the students are so rude, they interrupt. Well, students out of poverty typically are more assertive and aggressive in their form of communication. Mm-hmm. They are used to physically having to fight for resources and to get attention at home. If they live in a household where there are many members of that family, an extended family within the home. And so one of the things we have seen is that probably the greatest diversity on our campus, or what crosses all race and ethnicity, is the under-resourced student and looking at issues of poverty. And a lot of our work has come out of the research of Ruby Payne, who has done so much in that field.
You talked a little bit about when you would talk to faculty and some of their concerns or their just concerns about what's happening in the classroom. So what steps did Danville take to educate, inform, and equip faculty with what they needed to think about the classroom differently than a middle-class perspective? And then I'd like to hear, it's a long question, have you done anything with the students to help school them a little bit, educate them a little bit too, that this is the lens that your faculty are coming from? You might want to think about that. So let's first talk about faculty and staff. What did the college do? What steps did they take to help educate, inform faculty and staff?
Professional development was a huge piece of our proposal through Achieving the Dream. And so we looked at diversity on many different levels. How students learn, so we did a lot with brain research. And I credit Dr. Hunter Boylan at the Kellogg Center at Appalachian State with prompting us to consider thematic and concerted topics, not just sporadic hit and miss here, but to be sure that we covered the topics thoroughly, and faculty really got it. So we looked at learning styles, brain research on how students learn, and then we started looking at diversity, culturally responsive teaching. We did a lot of work. We've done probably 5 workshops on under-resourced and under-prepared students. And we bought CDs, What's Race Got to Do with It? We bought the CNN series on Black in America, and we bought a CD on race, ethnicity, language, and religion. And so we have used a lot of the workshop materials. They're not just for faculty. We've done it with administrators, faculty, and students. Okay. From a student perspective, when we developed our new college success skills course, which we were doing at the same time for the QEP for accreditation, and Lumina came at the very same time, which would scare you to death, but then you realize what an opportunity that is to leverage your resources. And diversity was one of the issues that came up in faculty forums, helping us to understand our students to understand one another, and also how do we prepare those students to work in a global economy.
Great. If I was a viewer right now, I would feel like this would be a bit overwhelming. I mean, you identified several things that the college took on. It can appear a bit overambitious if you're somebody watching this, and where do I start? So if someone's a viewer today watching this, what would be the first thing that you would say they need to think about as they begin to change the mindsets for achievement gaps on a college campus? How do you change that culture? What's the first thing they should try to begin to think about, the one takeaway they can take from this conversation? One of the most important things that I think we did, we held student focus groups. What were their barriers? What were their experiences with the college, particularly first time in college students? We have a lot of first generation students. And you start gathering data on achievement gaps, because until you look at your data, it is very easy to anecdotally say, oh, here is Johnny and he was so successful. And you pretend, and in all honesty, you want to believe that that star or the few stars that you have represent your entire student body. But if you are serious about looking at the data and breaking that down by demographic groups, age groups, gender, you see that there are gaps, and the only responsible thing that you can do if you care about all of your students is what are their individual needs.
And one of the wonderful things that has happened to us through Achieving the Dream, we have really moved our conversation from talking about equality to equity. So instead of giving everybody a pair of boots and you think we're done, you give everybody a pair of boots that fits.
That's great. What a great way to end our conversation. Janet, thanks so much for being with us. To all of our viewers out there, we know everyone has the need to be able to talk about the achievement gaps and grapple with that on their college campuses. Don't hesitate to reach out to Danville Community College for the good work that they're doing. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, everybody.